Okay, hi everyone. In this video, I'll show you how to install Python, Node, explain what pip and pm is, and I'm gonna set up the GitHub to push our first code. I was initially planning to make a three-part video for it, but it seems that it seems a bit redundant. So let's get started. Now, first, let's check that we don't have Python or Node on our system. For that, we'll just open a terminal and type node-v. So for me, it's already pre-installed, but I'll still show you how to install it. And for Python, it's python-V. And it seems that Python is not installed on our system. Now I'll provide you the links for them, but for Python, I have already downloaded the Windows installer 64-bit version, and it's also the 3.13 Python. And for Node, you just need to visit this URL, which again, I will still provide it, and click on the Windows installer MSI. Now let's go ahead and install this. Now, initially, I installed Python, but sometimes people forget to add it on the environmental variables, and it's causing a little bit of confusion for them. So I'll explain a little bit what are environmental variables for your system and why do we configure them. It seems that I got it installed. I have previously installed it, but I guess it's gonna work for me. Let's check. Python B. Okay, for me it's installed, but during the installation, you'll get prompted with multiple checkboxes, and it's going to ask you what you want to install with your Python. Just make sure to add it in your environmental variables, otherwise it's not going to be detected. Now the environmental variables just simply say the following. So you need to go to System Properties, Environmental Variables, click on the path, edit, and what simply it points to your system what executables you want to run. So if I were to remove this, it will not recognize Python. If you by accidentally did not select the option to add it to your environmental variables, you just need to come here, add new, and paste the equivalent path of your Python. Now let's close this. We have Python, we have Node, but let's also check the installer for Node. Next, I accept the terms, next, blah, 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 next, automatically. I'll just skip that. Okay, I guess Node doesn't have this issue, but again, if you're facing the same issue, you'll have to configure Node to your environmental variables. So, okay, I'm gonna assume we have that, and I'm also gonna install Git, which is the tool that's gonna help us push our code in GitHub. Now, previously I mentioned that I was going to explain what npm is and pip. Pip, it's the package manager for Python, and npm is exactly the equivalent for Node.js. This is how we want to install our packages. npm and pip have their own registries, so if you want to distribute your own package, you can register them there. And in generally, they are deemed to be safe. But recently, there was a breach where a popular, not a popular, but a widely used package, the author of that package got hacked, he got phished, and the attackers updated one of his packages, and they were trying to steal from crypto wallets. Hopefully it was thankfully it was detected early, so it didn't cause a lot of issues, but in general it's deemed to be a lot safer than cloning packages like in Golang that you just clone GitHub repositories that you need to manually, let's say, inspect them to make sure that they are okay to use. Okay, so we have installed Node, we have installed Python. We did say some stuff about the packages, the package managers. I'm going to show you how to use them. And now let's create our first project and let's try to push our code in GitHub. Now let's go to, so I'm going to go to my computer, C. I like to have a projects folder here because in directory that it's not going to get having backup from OneDrive. So select folder. Let's go to a folder and create our first project, which is going to mention it, I don't know, like to do backend. Okay. Select folder. Now this is our empty folder. And now what we want to do is create a virtual environment for packages. The reason why we are using virtual environments in Python is that if I were to pip install something right now, it would be installed widely on my machine. So if I had multiple Python projects that some required older dependencies and some required new dependencies, I would have to every time uninstall and install the relevant package, and it causes a lot of confusion. So the easiest thing that we can do is actually create a virtual environment and install our packages there. So what we're going to do is Python m venv. So it says create a virtual environment named virtual environment. Our virtual environment is being created. Okay, good. Now I have set this up. And let's create our core folder, which is going to have all of our source code. And let's create a dummy FastAPI application just to start the server and show you how to use it. Now let's go back here, FastAPI. You have the installation, which is here. And once this is set up, let's also create the main file. Main, it's a commonly used name on how we're naming our point of entry of application. So we'll paste our code here. And let's try and run this server and see what we get. Now I think they have their own FastAPI in dev. Okay, I think I already made a mistake that I said that you guys shouldn't be making. I forgot to activate my virtual environment and tried to run the FastAPI dev server. Regardless, I will fix it. But the issue that we are getting here is that we are not pointing to the entry of the application, because what we need to do is like this. We need to get the core. Now it works. And we are getting this development server. Okay, so you see our server is working, but again, we did a grievous mistake. We did the one thing that I shouldn't be doing. So let's cancel that. And you will also see the following. The strange behavior is that we have installed FastAPI, but it sends the pylons that it cannot resolve it. It does not detect the package. So it's as if we never installed this. The way to fix it is that you need to select the correct Python interpreter. So you need to Control-Shift-P and select Python select interpreter. And you need to select this path here, which is the virtual environment that we have created, which is this directory here. And it's not selected. Okay, I guess it got selected. And now let's try to activate. Actually, it makes sense because, again, I have installed FastAPI on my machine, not this virtual environment. So it actually makes sense that, again, it cannot be resolved. So what we need to do is activate our environment and reinstall FastAPI. I'll just copy this real quick and type, oops, venv script activate. So if we go here now, we go to the scripts, we should be able to see FastAPI. So you see, okay, so it's installing all FastAPI dependencies as well as other packages that FastAPI is using under the hood, like HTTP tools, etc. So now that we have installed it on our virtual environment and we are pointing to the correct file, now FastAPI is recognized. And for some reason, this is not updating, but if I were to copy and paste, it detects the FastAPI object. And again, let's run our server again. And it works. Now, I'm going to show you something like super quick. Let's put a breakpoint here. I'll show you how to also use the debugger. I think it's a good opportunity. Now, the way that we run our server right now, it's the way that we run it on a local environment. If we were to go on a production environment, we'll probably using Unicorn. But ideally, every time we want to use our application, we don't want to run this command by, in memory, from our memory. So what we can do, we can actually create a VS Code extension, not a VS Code extension. Anyway, I don't know exactly how it's called. A VS Code launch JSON file, and we're going to do a Python debugger Python file, and it's going to create a launch.json file. It's going to have the configuration of how we want to run our application. And okay, it was not created. No config. So create a launch.json file, Python debugger, the current. Okay, now this launch.json is created. And what we want to do is use debug.py, which is the correct Python package. Let's name this Python FastAPI app. It's gonna be in debug.py request launch. I'm gonna add a new argument here, which is gonna be the module, which is gonna be the UVcorn. The reason why I'm using UVcorn is that when I started learning FastAPI, the recommended way was to use UVcorn, so I'm using that for my own personal reasons. But if you want to use something else, you are always good to go. And let's also remove this. Okay, so that's the module. Let's also add the arguments, how we want to run our application. And we need to add here the core.main.app. And here we're going to add the -- reload. What these do, it simply points again to the point of entry of the application. So if you pay attention, you are saying, okay, go to core folder, main.py, and then go find the application object, which is this one. If I were to rename this application, I'll have to name it here as well. Okay, but this is a standard way in Python how we do it. So let's close this, the server is not working. So you see this is stuck. And if I were to go to my debug.py and run the application, now this should work. So you see the server is running again, and if I were to reload, the breakpoint works. So it's gonna be mostly on debugging in future videos if I need it, but for now, we don't. And I'll show you a useful thing about debug.py. Let's assume that message, let's say response is this one, okay? And I want to return the response. Now I count the breakpoint to response, refresh again. Also, okay, so we're here. And let's say you are not sure about something, you can add to watch that it's gonna show you the value of the response. Now, because this breakpoint didn't execute, it says, oh, this is empty. But if I were to go one step further, it says, okay, now this is hello world. And I can modify it to something different, for example. I can say, let's set value and let's see words, or even better, so if I were to play and go here, it says hi YouTube instead of our previous message. And you can do all sorts of stuff, manipulate variables, run to a specific cursor, you can go back, go down, skip some code, evaluate stuff in console. It's super useful. And it's one of the things that some people make it at least hard to use, but it's actually super straightforward. And this is our initial FastAPI app. Now, before we commit our code, let me just check how much time I'm talking. Okay, it's been already 16 minutes, so I'll just show you how to create the git ignore file, and let's work on it. Actually, you know what? That's it. So these are the topics that I have covered so far. In the next video, I'll show you how to configure the git ignore file and also create your own RSA key and push your initial code to GitHub. Thank you.